Greetings from Berlin, Germany. And today we are celebrating unity and diversity in our 30 minutes with Wanny Angerer in Moving Cultures. Our guest, number 102, is a guitarist, is a cultural entrepreneur, and is a very enthusiastic person connected to humanity and global mindset. And his name is Gustavo Samudio. So, how are you, Gustavo?
Hi, Wani. I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure for me to be here.
And we are very excited that you accepted the invitation to talk about your life, your journey, your challenges, and also your success stories. So, who is Gustavo Samudio?
Well, that's a great question, and I will try to answer in the more honest way. And well, I'm from Panama. First of all, I'm a guy from Panama, from a town called Hualaca, which is a town in what they call the countryside of the country, of the whole area. Actually, the nearest province to Costa Rica. Is some people can refer to it. Uh, yeah, I was raised there in that small town. All my education was literally there till I had the chance to come to the US and pursue my education in music education. Um, I've been studying guitar probably for about, I think it's been more than 15 years actually right now, which is outrageous to think about it for a second. But then in the long run, I start finding out myself with that passion about giving to others, which is something I started realizing is important, and I had the chance to explore that in the last year with the Global Leaders Program, where that kind of connect all the links that I was thinking beforehand. When I had the opportunity to be educated in the US, and when I start thinking about all the stuff that we are lacking back home, all the stuff that I wish I had the opportunity to when I was back in Panama. So I had the opportunity to be one of the 50 global leaders participants, because they select 50 people every year around that number, who is pretty selective, and I had a chance to be part of it, and it was a mind-blowing experience from every single perspective. But it helped me to reinforce those ideas, those preconceptions that I have, and also to build a beautiful network, of wonderful people like you, actually, because it's hilarious how we met, but that was through them. Um, and that's who I am right now nowadays. I'm still playing my guitar quite regularly, but I'm pretty passionate about leadership, that collaborative leadership that is all about building community in music ecosystems. Um, so that's what I'm all about nowadays. We are working currently. Hopefully soon we're gonna be launching our nonprofit in Panama, which is gonna be all about that. It's gonna be a kind of like inspired Sistema program in those local communities that I belong to, and we are planning to expand depending of the possibilities that come up in terms of funding and people be getting involved. But we're hoping that everything gets big. We're hoping to help build a new future for all those kids who need help, and even more to all those families, because I think music had that potential to build connections and also build that natural coexistence with other areas in our communities, and to be able to build beautiful communities around those ideas.
Gustavo, can you tell me how your family and your ancestors, because you come from a very special community in the rural areas of Panama, how do these family setting and stories build up the person you are today?
Yeah, wow, that's a question a lot of people ask me. So thank you for that, Bonnie. Um, I come from very, very, very. I remember my dad always saying that we weren't rich, but we weren't poor.
Mhm.
So we had to stick to the reality. Um, So for me, it was always about education. Like for us, we were quite the guys who were always, on the top of the game, studying wise. We like to study. We were kind of smart. I guess I had to say nowadays, kind of smart, because what was being offered at that time was great from the academic perspective. But now that I'm grown old and have the possibility to learn more about education, I realized so many things that I was missing for the humanistic perspective, even though I was getting that unconsciously in the environment. Um, like I could tell you, I never grew up in a music family. Um, the nearest that I remember, it was my grandpa. Whenever I grabbed the guitar, is when he referred to there was an uncle, a great uncle from Spain, who he refers, who was also a great guitarist, that he remember his grandpa telling him about. That's the nearest connection that we can make to the guitar and the love to the guitar. And but it never got further than that. So it was quite mind blowing and controversial whenever I decided to pursue this, because I remember being pretty judgmental about this back in the days when I decided to go to music. But nowadays, when through this, especially through this last year of global leaders, when I realized they were right, they were right about second guessing my journey, because if we think about the realities in Latin America, there is no future for a musician. Usually you end up doing something else and being a musician, and lately I've been realizing that's the truth all around. There is no single country where you escape from that reality because of the nature of the music industry. So I think what we were lacking at that time, it was some kind of formal orientation that I've been able to do, and actually I do a lot nowadays, in being able to guide the paths of people, how to build what we call a well-rounded musician, to be able to play, but also to be able to do different jobs, different chops all around music and education and all that, which is something that takes years to build. But for me, it was hard at that time when I was back home, because I was finding so many obstacles, and it was hard to find with them up to nowadays. I mean, I've been 7 years in the U.S. and sometimes I keep finding obstacles that chase me back home, because for different reasons, my scholarships, my situations, the understanding of people. So it kind of good and bad, because it keep me check all the time. It's like, okay, remember where you are and you have to deal with this, because some people try to forget where they come from. And for me, this always been my north, trying to go back to those roots and trying to see what are my biases about what they believe, who I am, or what I do, and try to come up with alternative ideas to help them understand. Because if my people close to me cannot understand what I do, then who can understand it? So for me, it's important to try to be transparent, even though in the long run, sometimes you might have friends who might be more educated in the things that you do, of course, because it's complicated what musicians do nowadays.
Gustavo, you also mentioned something very important, your north. These experiences you have been facing for the last years, plus your cultural background, your professional career, your aspirations, are teaching you how to deal with your own self. Tell me about your interior and personal journey as Gustavo, understanding Gustavo.
um, that's a phenomenal question, and you are asking me so many firing questions today, and I'm glad that you are making me reflect on the spot about that. But I think there is a moment from that artistic perspective that I'm always looking back to the roots. I'm always looking back to music that connect me with something, you know. And it doesn't necessarily it's all the time connected to my roots in Panama, but it connects me to the root of all of us as a Latin American or as a human beings. And I think that's a beautiful part of it. And I think that's my reason why I play music. If I wasn't that emotional about those moments in life, I wouldn't be doing music. I could be doing anything else because probably could be living better in any other profession. But it's just that uniqueness behind connecting to the that so special about humans, about being loved, but about connecting to mother nature, you know. And there is so much music out there that I keep going back and forth, you know, especially Indian music, those folkloric music that connects back to the roots. Like in Argentina, we find a lot of that music from that area. In guitar, in classical guitar in specific, we do that a lot. Um, and it's beautiful. Some people don't even realize. They don't realize where that's coming from. They just play it. But when you know where it's coming from and what was the reasoning behind, it gives you an additional layer of importance behind teaching that to new generations. And I think that's where I keep checking myself, you know. And also just as simple as trying to communicate the love that you have to someone, you know, as simple as that. We nowadays we are forgetting sometimes about that, how important is that. And I think and also to be able to communicate that in the way that the person who are you trying to bring the message can get it. Because I think that's the performing part where where performers forget it. They go to all the technicality, you know, difficult stuff, but then it's hard to say I love you with sounds, you know. And then that's where I also most of the time go to, you know. And also trying to involve everyone who's around me, who connects with me, because that's what I love. I love that deeper connection with musicians and musicians who are humble enough to enjoy the process, you know. There are a lot of good musicians out there who can play a lot of good stuff, but the problem I found with that sometimes is that it's just a kick. You get together, play the kick, and that was it. But what's about the music, you know? Those are our songs, our childs. So I like to keep it growing. I like to keep it evolving. So that's what I do sometimes with my bands that I play in my jazz ensemble. I like to keep it, you know, I like to be able to have some kind of like a collaborative leadership where we all collaborate to make something better. It's not just about me commanding anything. So I'm all about that. And that's what I explore every day when I'm trying to practice anything, or when even I'm trying to teach, you know, and or when I'm talking to the people in my neighborhood. I'm trying to connect with them so I could bring that message into the music I play.
Gustavo, tell me how music in your career has helped you to heal, not only yourself, but also to heal other people and your surroundings.
Yeah. Wow. What a beautiful message in that question. Um, yeah, I think healing is a thing that not a lot of people are aware of, you know. Um, because we are missing those opportunities to rethink about what is going on with our lives. And sometimes just through something as as banal or as common as talking to people, listen to them, and then how you transfer that into music so you feel like you are putting out something to the universe to try to make it better, you know. Sometimes the music might stay in the room and it might be a communion between you and God. But sometimes you get a chance to bring that message to more people, and then you get a chance to give that experience. I remember a long time ago I heard the relationship between music and God and how we communion through music. Um, and when I heard that, I was like, man, this is beautiful. Because Well, first of all, people don't listen anymore to music. People listen to lyrics most of the time, right? But when they have the opportunity to go a little bit deeper in the music and open their ears and their hearts to the music, you get connected to that moment, to that place that you feel that you don't really know how you want to call it. You want to call it God for their uh, nature, because we have people with all different beliefs, and I'm welcome all of them to the music. And that's one of the greatest things I can think about music is the power of connecting and healing to everyone, regardless to their belief or religion. I think music can connect in that way, and that's one of the uniqueness why we keep doing it, and we have been doing it for hundreds and thousands of years.
Gustavo, now that you talk about connecting with the divine and going back to your roots and to your origins, can you remember any moments in your childhood when music and art touched you in a way that you felt different, that you felt that you could reach the sky or you could fulfill your dreams?
Yeah, of course. I think one is a more musical, and the other one is, well, it's musical, but it wasn't directly related to me. But I grew up with trios music because of my dad. Los Panchos, Los Reyes, all of this. Man, I love that music so bad. I remember hearing hours and hours. I wasn't into playing it yet, but up to nowadays, I remember all those lyrics and the beautiful message behind the music. Even though nowadays we have to be a little bit careful about the interpretation of that music because it could fall into chauvinistics or feminist lyrics. So we have to be careful about how we bring into, especially in the US, to the American context, about the meaning behind the songs of the lyrics. But there is something beautiful behind the poetry behind those lyrics, and behind expressing your love in so many ways to that unattained woman, which is commonly true for the boleros and all of that. It's all about that suffering in the process of getting your loved one. um, well, there is a beautiful concept behind that as well, that you don't see nowadays. Everything goes almost to the other extreme. Everything becomes too sexual, and the lyrics and all that, because of the market works like that nowadays. So that was one of the moments where I remember being connected to good music, which I wasn't consciously just observing. I remember listening to that, Nelson Ned. Wow, so many good musicians that I refer to people my age back home, and they don't even know. And here in the US, not even mention it. They don't know who they are, except if you are from Cuba or something like that. The other moment I remember, I used to be pretty devoted. I was raised Catholic. But I remember the day when I heard this rock/pop band in my church, and the moment, the way that I used to play, it just brought me. I think that's one of the reasons why I was like, I want to play guitar. Um, I think it was the whole context of being in the church, um, having beautiful music behind, and connecting all of those together, which makes sense. And that got me into studying guitar, and that's how I ended up studying classical guitar then, because that's pretty much one of the only ways that you can do in Latin America overall, like formal training. All what you can do is classical guitar. And I've always been all about being formal educated, so that's what I went to. But yeah, those are the two moments I can remember. And then later, when I start digging down the rabbit hole of classical guitar, so many moments, so many beautiful players who then just through the sounds brought me to the context, to the beautiful meaning behind the music. And then the story keeps going and going and on and on and on, because there's so many great players who get me to that equal stage of admiration per se, and that catharsis right there, where you Some people call it, what's the word that they use? The aha moment, right? Where you are like, oh wow, that's why we do this, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, but those are the early moments that kind of like got me into it, you know.
Yeah, and it looks like that was a real contemplative moment because it's when
Yeah,
you connect in such a spiritual way that is very it's difficult to describe it, and it's very difficult
I
to
know.
measure. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is just funny, like I never knew what it was at that point because I couldn't describe that. I didn't have any good guideline in that. But later I started discovering more and more about music, and I started reaching more and more that spiritual space through
Mhm.
non-religious music, which was interesting. And whenever I was like, oh man, that's what I want to do, you know, because did you realize when other people can get you there, you are looking to get there to other people, and then to be able to do that, there is a lot of work behind, of course, because if you're playing in a group setting, it takes a lot of communication. It takes a lot of being on this with the same mindset about where we're trying to bring the show, because we can be 5, 7, 10, whatever numbers of people on stage, but there is just one message, so we have to agree now
Mhm.
in it, you know. So that's the thing.
Yeah, you got into the point where I want to talk to you about the role of music and arts as a transformative tool for society. And when you mentioned that when a group of people get together with the same position and the same imaginary, wonderful things take place. And this is when you start to connect with like-minded people, with like-minded projects and like-minded objectives. What can you tell me about that?
Well, it's a very complex topic, let me tell you that first of all, and thank you for asking that. um, because you can reach those collaborative environment for the sake of performing in a specific piece in a specific concert, but also you can reach in the communal sense. You can also reach good people to reach specific goals in our communities, you know. It might seem like a two pretty isolated concepts, but they have the same natures in the dynamics that they happen, where nowadays, you know, in Latin America, we're still a little bit behind per se on this, sadly, in the sense of collaborative leadership that is all about bringing that message to the community. But in the
Mhm.
US, it's quite common to have that kind of collaborative leadership where you might have an ex nonprofit trying to reach a specific goal in the community through specific tools, right? And we can do that, and we do that a lot through music. Depending on the community, we might have a specific topic. It could be Latinx, it could be poverty, it could be lack of education. And if we have the right people with the same kind of mindset, we can reach beautiful goals in communities and change the life of a lot of families, a lot of people, a lot of individuals. But it takes place to be that humble, to be open to collaborative, and not being that self-egocentric about, you know, this is mine, and this is what I do and everyone need to know, versus this is our organization. We are working together to build this because our community need it. Um, and it takes some years of education and being humble in that sense of being aware that you are developing something that you will never take with you. You know, we
Mhm.
did that, and that's for that community, and that's it. You know, we are glad that we help them to be better, and I think it takes a lot of self-work actually to be able to check in yourself. Okay, like, am I doing the right thing? And for me, I was talking with a friend the other day. I was like, man, I have so many things that I want to get better because I feel I'm not serving my people I'm trying to serve in the best way, you know. And I'm wondering how many people, how many politicians, for instance, who actually are the ones who are supposed to be doing this, are doing that self-check all the time. It's like, okay, and I'm being humble and I'm being participatory with my community. Am I integrating everyone? And those are the part of education, of especially higher education, that I've been involved, that I could think of being important concepts to bring into the community leadership, to be able to build these communities in better ways.
Everything you mentioned goes to one direction, that is compassion. When you have compassion, you can target understanding. You can also connect with diverse collectives, and you can also consider inclusion as a key element to the project. We are almost reaching the 30 minutes conversation. And I'm going to ask you to please send a message to the new generations and the society about unity, diversity, and inclusion.
Well, thank you before we get done, because I don't know how much we can extend it. And in terms of the message behind unity, diversity, and inclusion, I think, first of all, those should be the pillars of all our societies nowadays. Sadly, is a topic that came to the table late at the game in our societies, which in Latin America sometimes is funny because the unity and the diverse is already like part of the whole ecosystem. So it's interesting because in Latin America we have all the products, but we don't have, those are not the most important ones, even though it's still important. But for the rest of the people who we are talking about unity, diverse, and inclusion, I think it's all about accepting each other as we are, and for me, races are a beautiful thing because black and white could get, in terms of colors, if we want to put it in colors, which could be a little bit touchy, but in terms of colors, sometimes could get bored, especially you do photography, you do for black and white for a specific purpose, but then you have all the different possibilities of colors that you can try to build different arts with it. So for me, it's important to equally accept everyone. It doesn't matter religion, it doesn't matter the language, it doesn't matter the race or any other possible element that people might use as a way to discriminate anyone. So for me, that's why it's important, especially in higher education environments or any education environment, to try to avoid any of those. And if we're communicating with music, that's it. But also to be also a little bit more participatory and bring the music of all those elements that I have in the classroom. You have someone from Mexico, I have someone from Peru, someone from Europe. So, well, we had to bring music of them into the classroom to be a little bit more diverse and to be inclusive with all of them. The same thing could apply in communal settings, in orchestral settings, where we have to bring music that comes back to their roots. So in that way, we let them know they're important as well. And I think those are the ones that I could relate in musical, few of the ones that I could relate in musical environments. And then in general, I understand there is a lot of cultural and historical elements behind the pain, behind all our backgrounds in our societies. Could be in the US, Latin America. We all went through that horrible part of our history behind slavery, behind all of that. And I think we develop those constructive social elements around that idea at some point, but there is no need to be there anymore. And then, so there is no need to have any more pain thinking about, okay, but you are calling me like this, you think I'm this, we have to get done with that, to be able to be better every day, to be able to build a community that everyone feels part of. But if we don't accept that and we move on from those eras, I think we won't be able to move on to something better. And I think that's a problem I keep seeing, we keep trying to integrate everyone, but we are not over that topic, we haven't turned the page. We keep bringing that again over and over and again instead of finding ways to accept it. And I think that's true for any possible problem in our personal life. If we don't decide it, okay, we are done with this, we're over, we grew up, it's time to do something new, it's time to talk about something new, we will never be done with this. And the topic is going to keep recurring and recurring and recurring, and you're going to keep in that circle. So it's important to find those root causes behind our cycle of thoughts, and then to be able to change those patterns.
Gustavo, thank you so much for promoting unity and diversity through your work, through your philosophy, and also through your personal life. Please keep inspiring people around you, and also keep alive music so we can connect and be a better place. So thank you. Wishing you all the best in your projects and in your life, and see you soon. Okay?
Thank you, Wanny, for the great opportunity. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you all. Bye.
See you again.